What's up, guys? We're back with Game 3 of India versus Africa, with India and Africa tied 1-1. And in Game 3, we have Piyush21 playing for India, and we have Salt on Me playing for Team Africa. And if we look at the matchup, Piyush21 has a team with Blissey and Clefabel, and it looks like it's going to be, a type of, stall, maybe a fat team. But if you look closer, you'll realize it's actually a pretty offensive team. There's Dragapult, there's Garchomp, there's Nidoking. So the main idea of the team, it looks like, is that you're going to have offensive power with Nidoking and Dragapult, and you're going to use Teleport Blissey, you're going to use U-Turn Corviknight as your type of pivots. And it's a very standard type of team we've seen in Gen 8, which is basically pivots with strong breakers because of the move Teleport and U-Turn, etc. And if we look at Salt on Me's team, it's a similar style of pivots plus breakers, right? So you have Teleport, Future Sight, Slowking, along with Weavile and maybe Zeraora. And the idea is that Weavile is weak to fighting types, right? But if you can use Slowking, Future Sight with Weavile, you can actually go through the fighting types. And along with that, there's also a hazard spam aspect, because he has a Skarmory and Heatran, so it's probably Stealth Rock, Spikes. So it'll be a type of, hazard spam balance type offensive team. So the game is going to come down to who can pivot better. Will a Weavile plus Future Sight be able to attack more, or will Piyush be able to use his Nidoking and his Dragapult to attack more? That's what the game is going to be revolved around, especially because of the hazards aspect of Salt on Me's team. Because if he can get hazards up, Weavile can be pretty threatening to the team. So, just to start off, Clefabel versus Heatran. Clefabel is forced out because Heatran's a steel type, obviously, and we see the first real hazards dynamic where Piyush has to play well against the hazard stack with Stealth Rock and Spikes up, because if Corviknight gets weak or it can't deal with the hazards anymore, it's going to be a big problem long term. So, for example, right now he's letting the hazards get up, which I'm not sure is the best idea. He should be defogging on the Skarmory, but instead hazards are getting up. And Garchomp is looking to be like a fat Garchomp set, maybe with rest even. But it's definitely bulky. It's not going to be a Swords Dance type of set. And he does reveal rest. And Skarmory gets the hazards up again. And he goes Dragapult, which is a nice pivot in. And he gets a nice Thunder Wave off on Clefabel, which is big because Dragapult runs Hex, whose power doubles with status moves. And he goes Blissey on Clefabel, and he gets rid of Garchomp's sleeping status, right? And Clefabel, when it used that Thunder, it revealed that it's probably going to be some sort of Calm Mind Life Orb with Moonblast Thunder Soft Boiled. So that's just something interesting to note out right now, that this is a Calm Mind Clefabel. And you can tell because usually you don't run Thunder unless you also have a boosting move. So just something to be aware of. And Piyush makes the decision here. Right now there is two spikes up and Stealth Rock, and he makes the decision that getting hit by Thunder is worth it to remove all the hazards. And this goes back to earlier in the game. Why did the hazards get up in the first place? Because Skarmory put so much pressure, and he didn't choose to defog on the Skarmory, and now he's paying the price for it because now Clefabel is getting a Thunder off on Corviknight. And that does 61, which Corviknight can roost off, but it's still chip, 100 to 77 worth of chip right now. Heatran comes in, gets the Stealth Rock up, and now guess what? Corviknight is going to be at 65 the next time it comes in, right? And he goes Skarmory, and Skarmory gets a spike up, and I do feel he's missing the opportunity to defog at the right times. Because he's letting the spikes get up, and now he takes the Rocks chip, Skarmory gets another spike up, and then he goes Zera, and Corviknight isn't getting time to roost, so it's taking damage from things, but it's not getting the time to actually roost the damage off. And he goes Skarmory here. And again, Skarmory gets a spike off. And then Clefabelle misses Thunder, which is unfortunate but not a big deal. And he teleports into Heatran. And this is going to be a big interaction, as you'll see later in the game. But Clefabelle is usually a special attacker. But Clefabelle already has a special defensive boost. So it's unclear if the Heatran can actually beat the Clefabelle. But Piyush doesn't want to take that risk right now. So he goes Garchomp on the Heatran, just a safe play. Because he's not sure what that Heatran could do to Clefabelle. And now he makes a really nice play. And to understand this Weavile switch, basically he's predicting Garchomp to rest because it's so low health, it's at 35. And if Garchomp rests, that means Weavile can Swords Dance for free. And that's going to be a problem because you look, Corviknight's at 65. Clefabelle could become weaker later in the game. So he tried to use rest as a chance to make progress with Weavile. But Piyush makes a really nice play and he predicts the switch and he Earthquakes. So even though he's low health, he still Earthquakes the Weavile and gets a lot of damage on Weavile. And again, Weavile is taking damage, and if from Piyush's point of view, this is pretty good because Weavile is going to be really threatening versus a team because Nidoking is weak to ice, Garchomp is weak to ice, Dragapult is weak to ice, and now the Weavile is at 12%, which is, all things considered, that's relatively good. But unfortunately here, Weavile gets the flinch on Corviknight, and Corviknight is basically dead at this point. But what makes it even more of a problem is that Corviknight was the only thing stopping Skarmory from getting spikes up. So without Corviknight, you can't deal with the hazards effectively. So that's going to be a big problem with how does he deal with hazards. And Heatran gets Stealth Rock up, and that's just going to kill the Corviknight. Piyush could have hoped for Magma Storm missing and then Roost up, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And now he's in big trouble because Skarmory can get spikes up, and there's no way to stop the hazards from getting up. He goes Nidoking on Heatran. Salt on Me switches to Slowking, and Piyush predicts that and goes Garchomp so that he can rest with Garchomp. But at this point, Salt on Me is just being patient with it, getting Weavile in on the Garchomp. And unfortunately, he does miss Icicle Crash, but it's not a big deal in the long term. And he goes Heatran, and now, again, special attacker, but Clefabelle has a boost. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Thunder doesn't paralyze, but he keeps special attacking into the Clefabelle, and again, no paralysis. So it's looking like Heatran, maybe it can't actually beat Clefabelle. It doesn't have Flash Cannon or something, we don't know. But then he reveals Heavy Slam. And now the game is over. There's nothing to stop Weavile, even a little bit. So he played well to kind of hide that he had Heavy Slam. And now he's just going to finish off the game. There's nothing Piyush can really do versus the combination of Weavile and Spikes and Zera. And Heatran dies to chip Dragapult, and now Weavile comes in with a free Ice Shard. And now he's just playing it safe. He's going to use Slowking as a Future Sight and then Teleport pivot, but the game is over right now. So Africa is going to be taking a 2-1 lead on India as we head into Game 4. And it's going to be interesting to see how India, if they can come back from being down 2-1 versus an African team that's looked a lot better than people have predicted so far. They have gotten lucky a bit. Like if we look at Game 2, they got lucky. Even here, they got lucky with a flinch. But they've still played well enough to finish off the games. And that's going to be very crucial to see how they continue that in Game 4, Game 5 as we move on in the series. So just a little more, relatively pointless switching right now as Zera, Weavile clean up the team. And yeah, I'll see you next time for Game 5. Thank you. And if you like this World Cup content, please subscribe so you can be updated on the latest games as they happen. Thank you.